Hello, I'm Oskar Sherliyev and you're watching the news from Kazakhstan, and here are the top stories. The natural radioactivity background of water exceeded by 100 times on the Chagan River in eastern Kazakhstan. The Alga party activists were detained for allegedly spreading flies against the leader of nation. Kazakh businessmen are suffering because of the customs union shortcomings as stuck on the Latvian-Russian border for already 20 days. Emergency in the east of Kazakhstan. The natural radioactivity background of the river Chagan is exceeded by 100 times. In the relation, the Radioactive Safety Institute specialists suggest to confiscate 5 square kilometers of farmers' land. Next report has more.
Almost 2 kilometers area of the Chagan River is contaminated with radioactive tritium. Despite the natural radioactivity background exceeding by 100 times in the area, dozens of local shepherds from local farms feed the cattle and swim in the reservoir. We swim here all the time. It is impossible to identify the tritium using a regular radiation dosimeter, as the element is contained in water and water steams only. It damages the human health significantly. Being close to radiated water for a long time may lead to cancer. As any unstable atom, it's capable of collapsing, and its emission, called beta emission, has a biological impact which can be compared with gamma rays. In the meantime, the administration of the districts through which the river flows has no idea about the existence of such problem. No warning signs on radiation risk and fence were installed here. I don't know, I'm not sure if the Chagan has water right now. I really know nothing about the current situation. Experts link the increased level of tritium in the given reservoir with underground water channels coming from the territory of the former polygon. They claim the river shores must be immediately fenced. The most unsafe is to be at the shores, but moving 50 meters away from it, you will be totally safe. The special suggests that the nearby area must be taken away from farming households in order to solve the tritium problem on the Chagan River. It implies confiscating 5 square kilometers of pasture land.
An incident involving a political motive. Police in Pavlodar have detained 2 activists of the Alga political party for allegedly spreading out the flies against the leader of nation. Number of Pavlodar residents has applied to the Alga party to assist them in drawing the parliamentarians' attention to improving their housing conditions. The parliament had responded that they will address the residents' problem by year 2015. When the party activists were delivering the letter, they were stopped by police officers who thought activists were distributing leaflets. The party members spent about an hour in the police station explaining what papers they were carrying. Meanwhile, the police had refused to comment its actions. We were stopped by 2 police officers who demanded to display our bags, but I said, "What is the purpose of our search?" They said, "We have the right to stop anybody and search their bags." I said, "This is my property and I will not show what is inside." And they said they can take away the bag. We showed. They said, "Are these flyers?" I said, "No, it is a resolution with signatures." In the meantime, the members of the Algas Astana branch have filed another lawsuit. This time, the General Prosecutor's Office will act as a respondent. They demand the Isil District Court to hold the state body accountable for failing to act against the actions of the so-called trio of high-ranking officials who signed the law on the leader of nation. According to Party Alga, the high-ranking officials had no right to take such actions and explain it with the fact that Kazakhstan is a country with presidential regime, and thus the last decision is always made by the head of the state. It is known that Nazarbayev had refused to sign the given law. Consequently, the law on the leader of nations signed by lower-ranking officials is illegitimate. However, the party members' claims filed all over the country were rejected by courts. In addition, the party activists were applying for permission to hold rallies in front of the ruling Nuratan offices across the country. The endeavor also ended with fiasco, and the lawsuit filed today is considered another attempt to make authorities admit the law illegitimate. Right now, I'm suing the General Prosecutor's Office for failing to act because those officials who signed the law had no legal rights for doing so, and the Prosecutor's Office had missed this fact. Representatives of several public organizations have appealed to General Prosecutor's Office, National Security Committee and Internal Affairs Ministry, demanding to conduct a thorough investigation and establish the offenders of Jambul Tuligenov, who has been recently severely beaten up by unidentified people. Tuligenov, who had initiated a lawsuit against the Temirbank earlier, was hospitalized with multiple traumas. The activist says it is a result of his imitative, while the bank representatives voiced their own version. Details come in the next report.
The members of the bank's security have beat up the 69-year-old Jambul Tuligenov. The statement was made by the activists of the Kazakhstan 2012 movement. Tuligenov has initiated a lawsuit against the credit system of Temirbank. The public activist Kurmanov demands from the General Prosecution Office, National Security Committee and the Internal Affairs Ministry to examine the incident and find the attackers. From our side, we will conduct civil actions of protest against this lawlessness and the inaction of the law enforcement bodies. We are confident that the investigation will be stopped and the guilty will not be punished. Nevertheless, we will try to achieve the justice. On July 31st, 5 unidentified people have beat up the human rights defender. He was hospitalized with a fracture of a leg and concussion. A day before, Tuligenov declared that he is planning to file a lawsuit against the Financial Control Agency. He thinks that this is the reason of an assault. He is currently in the hospital, but the police is not letting his supporters or journalists in. I made a motion to stop the examination of the case until I'm discharged from the hospital. All the calculations, legal and financial issues are mine, and no one else will be able to protect them besides me. In course of 3 years, Tuligenov is proving in the court the shortcomings of the bank crediting system. The last lawsuit against Temirbank is on the recognition of invalidity of the loan contract in the credit repayment section. Temirbank has distributed an address in which they refute all the accusations in the involvement in the fight and the very fact of the fight. We doubt that he became the victim of 2 accidents in course of several days. If so, then Tuligenov gave invalid information to the court and the public. The activists of the Kazakhstan 2012 movement do not doubt the impartiality of Tuligenov. Ainur Kurmanov promises that if the law enforcement agencies will protract the investigation, the country will go through a row of protest actions and mass petitions to the court against the second-tier banks.
Two entrepreneurs from Kazakhstan stuck on the Latvian-Russian border for already 20 days because of the customs union new regulations. Businessmen bought vehicles in Europe, and now in order to transport it through the borders of Russia, Belarus and Kazakhstan, they must pay the security deposit, which became total news for businessmen, and therefore they didn't have sufficient amount of money for the deposit and thus stuck at the border.
Kazakh haulers are asking for help on the Russian-Latvian border, as Russian customs officers demanding a deposit from 2 Kazakh entrepreneurs in the amount of 14,000 euros for each car. I'm here for 20 days already and we have no money to cover this deposit. It turns out that in order to pass the territory of the Russian Federation, we have to leave a deposit of 5 euros per cubic centimeter, which means multiplying 2,700 by 4.8 euros will result in the necessary amount. This amount will be paid back when the car will be leaving the territory of Russia. Russia has set barriers on the way of free entry. Belarus and Kazakhstan have maintained the benefits for individuals until July 2011, which is formulated as a temporary exception from the rules of the customs union. However, the mechanism is not perfect, which was recently explained by the chairman of Brokers Association with the customs officials. What is the reason behind the fact that people are unable to register the automobiles which are currently under the regime Import 74? Why are they being forced to use their declarations? In other words, they are being forced to register through the declaration. This way, the individuals pays all the taxes and duties of the customs union. Gennady Shestakov says that over 100 businessmen are trapped now. Those who ordered the cars are also unable to receive them through the Kazakh depot. The leadership of the customs office is surprised to find out this news, as already a week ago it has ordered to resolve this problem. The letter was sent last week. Really? Can I have a copy of the letter? Of course, I will show it to you. Businessmen are not really willing to pay high deposits and travel around 2 countries for its repayment. There is a hope that diplomats will be able to resolve the issue. According to the latest information, the Kazakh Foreign Affairs Ministry and the Latvian Consulate Office promised to help the Kazakh businessmen to return home.
The Champs-Élysées state project interest holders demand the authorities to arrest the property of first Kazakh Prime Minister Sergei Tereshchenko and return their money back to the Housing Association.
The lawyer had presented the court a financial police resolution admitting the operations of the company illegal as an argument in favor of the interest holders. Moreover, she suggested that the deal, which involved 2 more companies except for Kazakhstan Engineering, were paid by her clients. It was also suggested that the estate construction company's involvement as a third party in the deal was illegal, while the financial operators of the claimant as intended use of the credit. As a result, the trial was postponed to August 24th. I think that the court will take the interest holders' side this time, as the issue was addressed by the president, and I hope the judge will make a fair decision.
A family of 8 is trying to fit in the 9 square meter space in Pavlodar. Local authorities appeared helpless in providing housing to a needy family without an approval of president's administration. Moreover, a single mother faced a number of bureaucratic challenges in order to apply for housing and the Kumis Alka, the mother hero status, which she deserves by law.
I take off the sofa in winter and put our bed here, and kids sleep on the sofa while my little baby sleeps on 2 joint couches. Prilepin's family lives in rented mud hut in Pavlodar with 9 square meter space shared by 8 persons. Tatiana is a mother of 6 children, the youngest of which is 1.5 years old, while the eldest daughter is 19. A $33 per month benefit she is entitled to is not much of help to big family. She had paid endless visits to public offices in order to apply for housing and the mother hero title. The $33 per month is a miserable amount. 3 of my children must go to school, the 4th to kindergarten. Money is not sufficient for covering these expenses. This time, though, Tatiana was received by a public servant. However, it wasn't that encouraging, as she was told more than a half of all 1,200 single mothers in waiting lists have mother hero status. And since the law has no regulations on how the housing must be distributed in such cases, the decision is made by presidential administration only. All the packages with necessary documents are forwarded to the Pavlodar Regional Administration Office for further consideration by the Presidential Administration. We'll notify you as soon as the decision to award you with Mother Hero will be made. The public service clerks are very strict in bureaucratic procedures. In order to apply for housing, Tatiana must collect the complete list of necessary documents in accordance with the housing law and submit them to the Utility and Housing Administration. However, in the next office, Tatiana was told that half of the mentioned documents aren't required at all. They have the data for entire country, so if you are registered in Kachiri, so you can get the certificate there and not necessarily go to the Kachiri district administration to get one. Tatiana was confused a great deal after visiting several offices. However, she doesn't seem to give up. A single mother will continue struggling for her rights to have a decent housing for the sake of her children's future.
These were the main news for today. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.